Nothing is by chance. No wonder you came into the world exactly in the month you came. Ever wondered why you were born in January and not May? Why did the destination choose September and not April? According to Carl Jung, the soul has paths that the rational mind does not immediately understand, but that reveal themselves over time in the subtlest details of life. What if your birth month was a symbol, an invisible code of your essence? What if the season of the year in which you were born carried the clues of your purpose, your challenges, your gifts, and even the encounters that would change your story? In this video, you will understand how Jung interpreted the soul and its relationship with the time of birth. We're going to go through 5 eye-opening moments, 5 windows that open into what your soul may have been trying to show you since the day you were born. Because perhaps, as you look back on the month that brought you into the world, you'll finally understand why some things about you have always seemed inevitable. You may think that you were simply born in a certain month because your parents planned it, or because chance decided so. But what if it's the other way around? What if it was not you who fell in that time, but the time that fell on you? What if the month of your birth was not just a point on the calendar, but a kind of portal chosen by your soul to begin the journey you needed to live? Carl Jung believed that the soul carries an ancestral wisdom, and that its coming into the world is not random. Each birth, according to him, carries a kind of energetic signature linked to the cosmic moment in which it happens. This is not ordinary astrology, it is symbolic psychology. Jung saw time as something alive, with meanings that go beyond numbers. And he wasn't alone in this. Ancient cultures also recognized that time had a soul, and that being born in certain periods brought specific characteristics, almost like a secret language between the spirit and the world. Think about the seasons. Those born at the height of summer are shaped by light, heat, expansion. Those born in winter, on the other hand, come into the world surrounded by recollection, silence, and the time of the essential. And it's not just about the external climate, it's about the internal climate that these conditions cause. According to Jung, we are profoundly shaped by the symbolic environment of birth. It is as if the month of birth gave us a map of spiritual intentions. Now, think about it. What is the month you were born like? Is there something about his energy that seems to suit you? Maybe you've always felt more comfortable in certain climates, times of the year, light patterns. Perhaps you have never realized that this is linked to your own birth. But Jung said, what we call chance is only the name we give to what we do not yet understand. The choice of your month of birth can be a precious clue. Let's delve deeper into this idea. Imagine a soul about to incarnate. According to Jungian psychology, this soul carries a self, a wise and guiding core, that knows, on some level, the challenges it will need to face and the potentials it wants to manifest. Based on this soul can choose to come into the world at a specific time, surrounded by symbols and conditions that favor exactly what it came to experience. For example, a soul that needs to learn about patience may choose to be born in a cold month, where nature is slower and more introspective. A soul that wants to work on expression and sociability may prefer to be born in spring, when everything blooms and life expands in colors and movements. And these choices, according to Jung, can be reflected in our lives without us realizing it immediately. But how to perceive this? How to identify this link between the month and the soul? Start by observing the repetitions of your life. Are there emotions that always come back? Are there patterns of behavior that arise frequently? Situations that are repeated as if they were constant lessons? Jung would call these synchronicities, seemingly random but meaning-laden events. And many of these synchronicities can be linked to the month in which you were born. Maybe every year when that time comes, you feel something different. A restlessness, a desire for change, or maybe a sense of belonging, as if that were your true, internal time. Also, think about people who were born in the same month as you. Is there a kind of affinity? Or a stark contrast? Often, people born in the same period share certain pursuits, pains, or talents. Jung said that the collective unconscious acts in waves, and time, the calendar, is a way of capturing these symbolic waves. Thus, the month of your birth can indicate which unconscious energy is strongest in you. There's also an important question: what do you reject in your month? Sometimes, we feel uncomfortable with our own birthday. We find the weather awkward, the days tiring, or feel disconnected. This is also symbolic. It may indicate that your soul has chosen that month to work on something that you still resist accepting. Maybe it's a hidden lesson, a door you haven't had the courage to open yet. Jung saw conflicts not as obstacles, but as bridges. And if you feel conflict with your birth month, it might be time to listen to what he's trying to say. There is something poetic about all this, realizing that life begins at a specific time, not only by biological circumstances, but by symbolic resonance. This takes us out of the logic of chance and puts us in a deeper dimension, where everything has a purpose, including the month that welcomed us when life began. Your soul may have chosen the warmth of January, the coolness of April, the introspection of July, or the nostalgia of November for a much greater reason than you realize. And understanding this does not require blind belief, but a more sensitive look at oneself. It is to begin to see one's own history as a dance between the invisible and the visible, between the soul and time. The question that remains is, what is your birth month trying to show you? And are you willing to listen? Have you ever noticed how the weather outside affects the weather inside? How cloudy days often awaken quiet reflections and sunny mornings seem to push us outward, as if something inside us blooms along with the sky. Carl Jung saw this connection as a dance between the internal world and the external world, between what the soul feels and what nature expresses. Now imagine, if the season changes your energy today, imagine the impact it had when you were born. The season at which you arrived in the world can reveal much about the symbolic forces that shaped your first breath, your first look, your first vital impulse. Let's think about winter, a time when nature withdraws, the trees are stripped, and everything seems to be quiet. For Jung, this scenario is not just cold. It is a symbol of introspection, of silent gestation, of forces acting beneath the surface. Those who are born in winter may bring with them a more inward-looking, more analytical, sensitive, and reserved soul. A soul that, even in the midst of the noise of the world, feels the need for silence to find its center again. Summer, on the other hand, is the expression of life in high voltage. The heat, the intense light, the long hours of the day. Summer speaks of expansion, of vital energy pulsating on the skin, of vibrant presence. A soul that is born in this period can carry the mark of expression, courage, the impulse to show itself to the world. They are people who often have brilliance, leadership, and a call to live intensely. Spring is rebirth. After the cold and the recollection, everything sprouts again. It is a season of hope, of beginnings, of openness. Souls born in spring can have a renewing, curious energy, full of enthusiasm for possibilities. They are people who inspire movement, who are enchanted by the new and who have a certain luminous innocence, even after storms. And autumn? Autumn is the time of harvest, of wisdom, of beauty that withers with dignity. It is the time of detachment, of emotional maturity. Those born in autumn can have a deep look, a natural connection with the cycle of life, and a serenity that only comes with the understanding that everything passes and everything comes back. But, of course, this is not a rigid rule. Jung never proposed boxes. What he defended is that there is a living symbology behind time, and that paying attention to this symbology is like opening a book about ourselves. A book that was not written with words, but with sensations, perceptions, and memories of the body. The season of his birth shapes, even if subtly, his first impression of the world. It is she who sets the tone for the first images, the first smells, the first emotions. A baby born on rainy and windy days grows up with a different sensory repertoire than one born in the sun and cicadas. These small differences mark the body. And where the body is marked, so is the soul. Now stop and think, what is your season? What did she teach you, even without you realizing it? You may feel more awake in certain months of the year. Or maybe your mood changes with the weather, with the light, with the air. This is no coincidence. They are deep, unconscious memories of a time that shaped your entry into the world. Jung would call this the birth archetype, a kind of symbol that organizes the way we feel about life. But that's not all. The season also carries teachings that the soul wants to live. A person born in winter may have come into the world to learn to trust the light that exists even on the darkest days. A summer soul may need to learn not to get lost in excess, in impulse. Spring teaches the value of starting over, even after falls. And autumn shows the beauty of letting go, of maturing, of accepting the cycles of existence. And here comes one of Jung's most beautiful ideas, that the soul does not come into the world to repeat, but to integrate. That is, if you were born in a hot season, perhaps your mission is to balance with the cold of thought, with the pause. If you were born in a quiet time, perhaps your journey involves finding your own voice. It is not a matter of being the same as the climate of birth, but of relating to it, understanding its message, and then going beyond it with awareness. This vision gives us back something precious, the feeling that there is a reason in every detail of our story, even at the time it started. It's not just about astrology, nor about signs. It's about listening to the symbolic language of the world and realizing that everything, absolutely everything, can be a mirror of our soul, including the wind, the sun, the snow, or the flowers that greeted us when we were born. Carl Jung said that the soul speaks through symbols, and the season of his birth is one of them. It's time to listen to him. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to be born for the stage, while others prefer backstage? Why are there those who carry a silent sweetness from an early age, while others arrive in the world with their hearts on fire, defying everything around them? Carl Jung believed that the characteristics of the soul do not arise by chance. They are connected to deep symbols that mark birth, and the month you came into the world can be one of those secret mirrors. It is not a matter of making generalizations, but of observing the symbolic patterns that life offers. And perhaps, by looking carefully at your month, you will begin to understand parts of yourself that previously seemed disconnected. Let's explore, with delicacy, what each month can carry as an energetic signature. Not as fixed rules, but as invitations to reflection. January usually welcomes souls who need to develop discipline, persistence, and focus. It is the beginning of the calendar, the time of plans and goals. Those born in this month often feel, from an early age, a certain weight of responsibility, as if there was something to fulfill. They are people who learn, over time, to balance ambition with humanity. February is the month of originality. It brings free, creative souls who feel the need to break patterns. Those born in February usually have ideas outside the curve, but also a certain inner restlessness, a desire to break with what is expected. They are people who feel the call to live authentically, even if it means going against the grain. March is the month of sensitivity and imagination. It is common for souls born in March to carry a strong connection with the unseen, intuition, spirituality, empathy. They are people who are sorry, even when they don't show it. Often, they need to learn to protect this sensitivity so that it does not become emotional overload. April is a month of momentum and courage. It brings souls with a lot of life force, who usually act before thinking. Those who are born at this time, in general, have the energy of a new beginning, a spirit of leadership, but they can also fight against impatience and ego. They are people who learn, with life, that strength and kindness can coexist. May is the time of stability, of pleasure, of construction. Those born in May usually seek emotional and material security, and have a refined aesthetic sensibility. They are people who value comfort, lasting bonds, and the simple beauty of life. But they also need to be careful not to get too attached to what is known. June is the month of communication and curiosity. It brings agile souls, who think fast, speak well, and have a light and engaging charm. Those born in June tend to seek constant stimulation, and may feel uncomfortable with very closed routines. The mission of these souls is to learn to reconcile variety with depth. July is the month of deep emotions. The souls that arrive in this period are usually extremely protective, linked to family, memory, and history. There is an instinct to care, but also a need to be welcomed. They are people who keep feelings as if they were relics, and who need to learn to let go when necessary. August is the time of personal light. Those born in this month usually have brightness, presence, and need for recognition. They are generous souls, but they also deal with the shadow of vanity and pride. Jung would say that these people came into the world to learn the balance between shining and serving, between standing out and belonging. September is the month of analysis and order. It brings detailed, observant souls with a natural inclination for organization and service. Those born in September tend to seek perfection, not out of vanity, but out of an inner drive that wants to see things working out well. The challenge is to accept that life is also made of imperfections and chaos. October brings the symbol of relationship. Souls arriving at this time feel a strong need for harmony, connection, and justice. They are people who value balance, but who sometimes get lost trying to please everyone. Jung would say that these souls came into the world to learn how to keep the peace without losing their voice. November is the month of intensity. Those born in this period usually live everything in depth: the feelings, the bonds, the crises. They are souls who are not content with the surface and who have a call for transformation. But they can also face the challenge of control, possessiveness, and distrust. Life teaches these people to trust their own light, even when everything seems dark. December brings an energy of wisdom and expansion. The souls that arrive in this month have an impulse to grow, to learn, to travel, even if only with the mind. They are people who seek meaning, who are enchanted by ideas, and who want to understand the why of things. But sometimes they can move away from reality by trying to live only in ideals. The challenge is to find the sacred also in the simple. Notice, each month has its strength, its pain, its lesson. There is no best or worst month. What exists is the fit between what your soul needs to live and what that period offers as symbolic terrain. Jung did not believe in ready-made formulas. He believed in living symbols, which are revealed in experience, in the sincere look, in the inner dive. Therefore, look at your birth month more carefully. He is a mirror. And perhaps, when you face this reflection honestly, you will discover that you are not trying to find yourself for nothing. That your way of being, your internal battles, your most secret talents, all of this was already present in the time that welcomed you at birth. What once seemed like a coincidence can now seem like fate. Sometimes, we feel that we were born in the wrong time. That doesn't fit. Who is always on the margins of a time that he does not fully understand. But what if, in fact, you were born exactly when you needed to? Neither before nor after. At the very moment when your soul decided, it's now. Carl Jung said that time is not just a succession of days. He believed that there is a soul time, a kind of inner clock that does not follow the hands of logic, but rather the signs of inner growth. According to him, our soul is not tied to the calendar, but dances to its own rhythm, maturing in cycles and phases that we often only understand much later. So why were you born now? Because this time, with all that it has, the challenges, the questions, the silences, and the discoveries, is the perfect setting for what your soul came here to do. And the month you were born isn't just the beginning of your life. It is the mark of his first encounter with the world. The symbolic door through which you entered. Think of it this way. The world at the time you were born was vibrating in a unique way. There were events, collective emotions, natural cycles, and archetypal energies at work at that time. Jung called this the collective unconscious, an invisible field that connects us all and holds universal symbols. When her soul decided to be born, it did not come by chance. She came with a mission that needed this exact symbolic atmosphere to flourish. Perhaps you were born in a time of great transitions. This may indicate that your soul carries the force of change. Or perhaps it came into the world in a time of stability, which may point to a mission to maintain what is essential. The time of birth, seen through Jung's eyes, is a frame that reveals much about the inner painting that each human being carries. But there is more. Jung believed that each stage of life activates a different part of the psyche. Childhood is the time of instinct and absorption. Youth is marked by the construction of ego and social identity. Maturity, on the other hand, invites introspection, diving into the unconscious, rediscovering the self, the center of the soul. And all this begins at the moment of birth. The month you were born can indicate the type of movement your soul values. For example, those who are born in times of new beginnings, such as the beginning of the year, may have come to learn how to build from scratch. Those who arrive in closing months, such as December, may have the mission of integrating, concluding, closing cycles wisely. Each month brings a different tone, and this tone is reflected in the music that your soul came to sing here. In addition, time also reveals the shadows that you came to illuminate. Carl Jung was emphatic in saying that there is no evolution without confrontation with the shadow, that is, with the parts of us that we avoid seeing. And the month in which we are born often reveals which shadows will be our greatest teachers. Those born in times of light may need to learn to deal with pride or superficiality. Those who are born in times of retreat may face the fear of abandonment, the difficulty of exposing themselves. And that's not a punishment, it's the way. The soul chooses the shadows it knows and decides to find them again in this life in order to finally transform them. Therefore, if you feel that your birth was an accident, or that you came into the world at the wrong time, maybe it's because you haven't heard what your time wants to tell you. The day, the month, the weather, the sky, the cycles, all this speaks. All of this brings clues. Jung said that the symbols of the soul do not scream. They whisper. Therefore, silence is needed to listen to them. And perhaps, by making this silence, you will discover that your birth happened exactly at the right point on the path. Not too soon, not too late. Because his soul knew what he was doing. Of course, life isn't always kind. Often, it seems to throw us in opposite directions to those we want. But even in this there is a lesson. Jung believed that the greatest masters of the soul are the obstacles. They force growth, reveal hidden potencies, push the psyche toward its true center. And when we look fondly at the time we were born, we realize that it prepared us for all this. He didn't shield us from pain, but he gave us the tools to go through it. He did not spare us from challenges, but gave us the soul to face them. The time of your arrival in the world is part of your destiny. It is the first layer of your inner map. And when you honor that time, rather than rejecting or ignoring it, something inside you aligns. As if the soul, when recognized, could finally breathe in peace. Maybe you've never made peace with your birth month. Maybe you found it boring, difficult, strange. But what if that's exactly what you needed to live to become who you are? What if this month contains, hidden, the beginning of the answer you are looking for? You were born now because that is the exact moment of your journey. And your journey is unique. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what does my month of birth expect from me? What if, instead of just marking the beginning of your life, it was a silent invitation to become who you came to be? Carl Jung said that the soul speaks through symbols, and each symbol is a calling. A call to awaken, to remember, to fulfill something that the mind does not yet understand, but the heart senses. The month that brought you into the world carries an invitation like this. It is not just a date on the calendar. It is a tone, a vibration, a proposal for life. And you don't have to believe that. You just need to observe. Observe the pains that are repeated in you the most. The challenges that seem to haunt you. The gifts that you don't even know how to explain, but that have always been there. Observe your relationship with time, with the seasons, with the cycles. All this is the language of the soul. All of these are threads that connect your essence to the month that welcomed you. And then the real question arises, how can you honor that calling? Honoring your birth month is more than celebrating birthdays. It is to integrate what it represents. If you were born in a month of expansion, you may need to allow yourself to grow without fear. If you were born in a month of recollection, perhaps your soul needs silence and depth to flourish. Honoring your month is making room for the qualities it awakens, even if the world says otherwise. Jung taught that the process of individuation, the path to one's true self, passes through the recognition of one's personal symbols. And your month is one of them. When you understand what this period represents, you begin to adjust your life, your choices, and even your worldview. And that's not magic. It is reconnection with the essential. Each month proposes a virtue. January may require courage to start. February, daring to be different. March, surrender to intuition. April, strength to act. May, presence and rooting. June, lightness and expression. July, warmth and emotional depth. August, glow with awareness. September, accuracy and service. October, balance between yourself and the other. November, rebirth. December, expanded vision. But the most beautiful thing is that this is not imposed. It is offered, like a seed in the hands of the soul. It's up to you to plant, water, cultivate, or let it go. The soul does not oblige, it invites. And each time you respond to that invitation, a forgotten part of you lights up. You feel more whole, more certain to be where he should be. Many people live disconnected from their own inner time. They think that life is a succession of days and tasks, when, in fact, it is a deep narrative full of hidden meanings. His birth was the first chapter of this narrative, and he started with a choice: to be here, now, at this exact point in time. You could have been born in another country, in another station, in another body, in another family. But no, you came exactly as you came. And that says a lot about what your soul wants to experience, heal, transform. Jung reminded us that nothing is irrelevant on the path of the soul. Neither the pain, nor the doubt, nor the month of birth. Perhaps, now, when you look at your month with different eyes, you feel a slight recognition. A memory without words. As if something inside you always knew this, but only now was awakening. This is how the soul moves. In spirals, in layers, in revelations. And when you accept to listen, even if you don't understand everything, something changes. You start to live with more presence, with more meaning. You stop running and start walking with time, not against it. Therefore, the best way to honor your month is by listening to what it awakens in you. What emotions arise when he approaches? What usually happens at this time? What memories are repeated? What themes come back like echoes? You don't have to find a final answer. The soul does not seek solutions, it seeks integration. When you open yourself to look with affection at the time that welcomed you, you stop being a foreigner in your own life. You become intimate with your story. And if one day you doubt your place in the world, remember, your soul chose this month. That time. That world. With all that he is, and with all that you are. Nothing is by chance. And neither are you.